TPR.
Berlin. Is that where you live? Is that where you've been living for a while?
I'm here currently, yes.
Okay.
I'm doing a fellowship here. It was
Right, you mentioned
a 2-year fellowship. It ends in September, and then Berlin has this very nice thing called an artist visa, which is also a freelance visa. So then I will try to get that basically.
Acha.
So
Is this your
the
first
plan.
time? Was this your first time when you came in Berlin, in Germany?
No, I'd come as a tourist like twice in 2019, and I don't know why I really wanted to come to Berlin for like years and years. Oh, like I don't know, maybe because David Bowie came here. Like I had this kind of like romantic idea of like, oh,
Yeah,
where all the weirdos go,
yeah.
and that's true. That's still true, but it's just been like also very tough. Like I
Acha.
think I don't know why I assumed that things would be so like, of course, like, I know it's like, and then it's like, oh, this is a foreign country where I don't speak the language
Yeah.
and it's culturally very different. And I
Mm.
think the only time I've left Pakistan to live abroad is my US master's. And that was just very easy. And I think the US, like we're exposed to so much
Yeah.
American media कि वो culture shock नहीं होता. Like English में
Yeah.
हम बात करते हैं, सारी movies, गाने, like that's what we grew up with. So this is like, oh, ये तो एक और ही मखलूक है.
Yeah.
Like this is the flavor of white I am unfamiliar with.
Yes.
So it's just been like a culture shock. But this year I'm getting better at
Sure.
like understanding.
What's the fellowship about? What is a fellowship? How does that work?
So fellowship is basically जैसे आप अपना research project लाते हो to your university and you work on your own thing and then you could teach in the university like you're a fellow of this school.
Right. Acha.
So you could like use your research and also involve students in it. Yeah, just like, yeah, it's academia basically, very like fine arts and academia. And both those worlds are not the ones that I work in. So it was very new for me, but I brought in like a research project which is on like women in Pakistan and the internet. So basically, जो मैं emotionally सालों से काम कर रही हूँ, I think I also got burnt out in Pakistan. Like there's such like heavy topics, and I had just like, and the pandemic was also really rough. So I just wanted some distance. I applied to this saying, okay, can I like not just draw out of like मैं रो रही हूँ or art निकल रहा है, like can I like take a step back and look at it as research? And then coming here, the German academic system is so like different from anything I've experienced. Like ये लोग इतने chill हैं कि I cannot handle how abstract and chill they are.
Achha.
So it actually isn't like a program. It's just like, here's a room.
Do whatever you want. Achha.
Like कुछ तो डाले ना, like
Structure.
salam dua to ho jaye. So I just like, yeah, the lack of structure and just I think the coldness of it has been difficult. But I think by year 2 I had sort of cracked it because I have like a research partner in Pakistan, which is the Digital Rights Foundation.
Okay.
So Ella Khan is like, she's just very good. And like, I've just had so many good conversations with women in Pakistan, transgender activists, working class women. Like it's really been enriching for me because this is new information. So I think fellowship aside, I think this is what, like, these are topics I love. So it's just been very nice. And actually now I'm sort of like, I'm like, oh, now I understand how this work is done and the fellowship is ending. So I'm going to try to find some other way to continue because your passion projects, it's like, this is what I'm obsessed with in life. How do women like navigate cities? How do women navigate the internet? And like, because I think we're just not thinking of women alag and working class alag, brown women alag, global south alag. Like wait, like bottom of the pile. Like especially yahan, you're like, oh, these people have no idea how billions of people on the planet outside their very cute little bubble life. So I think I've just been very shocked at like like they're very far removed
Mm,
from reality. या और मैं भी इतनी privileged position में हूँ पाकिस्तान में, but like ये लोग तो इतने like I think like they're on top of the mountain somewhere where I can't even see them anymore.
right,
So it
right, right.
also bring people back down to earth and be like, no, actually, like we also have our version of feminism, and women are not like, wait, women are not stupid anywhere. Like they're navigating their lives. Jitni zyada mushkil, I think they're more savvy
Mm,
in how to navigate lives which are not meant for them, basically.
yeah.
Anyway, this is the start of this interview because I have just jumped in.
नहीं, we're good. That's all we wanted to talk about. तो हमने सब कर ली बातें.
Good. This is very prompt,
Yeah.
amazing. Some
नहीं.
laundry that's gonna beep soon.
Oh, very good. I want the full like Shehzil in
Yeah,
Berlin experience. बिल्ली भी है, laundry भी है. That's great.
laundry करी थी, अभी कालीन साफ किए हैं, बिल्ली को
Oh,
वापस लाई हूँ. Yes.
okay, okay. You said your cat sitting. This is not your cat?
No, so
Acha.
I live with another woman. This is her cat, but she has gone to a festival.
Acha,
She's
acha.
living her good European summer life. So this is her third festival this month. So then I am
Right,
the official
right.
aunt of the cat who then takes care.
European people really take fun seriously.
Very much so.
Yeah, like holidays are an important part of life, non-negotiable. And festivals pe jana, key part of people growing up, and then those people have now grown up and they're still going to them. Yeah, I think you
It's
were right about.
like it is that when you tell a Dolce Vita, yeah, like oh the beautiful life, like they this is Germany, ye itne hain bhi nahi,
Yeah,
Europeans with but I think ye be like their every day is like so nice. Like
yeah,
I think maybe मेरे itna culture shock hai because Pakistan mein there's like something happening every day, like
yeah,
there is crisis that you have to
yeah,
deal with. And then also, I think I, I don't know, this must be messed up, but I also thrive in that environment in the sense that I feel like, oh, I'm going to contribute something. That's why I
sure.
wanted to work on these subjects because there's
Ah,
stuff that you're like, oh, I hope this like can help. But yeah, every day is the same day. Every day is nice.
yeah,
There is political instability. Everybody's eating an ice cream.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
but
It's
saying
a
this to
different
somebody,
world.
I mean, obviously, I'm happy for them. Um,
You're not from Karachi, I feel, because if you were, you'd be like, "ये इतने खुश क्यों हैं?" ये why?
No, I'm like, wait, in awe, okay, wow, like ye bhi zindagi.
Like
I
this is
think
possible.
I'm too old, I'm
Yeah,
jaded.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
these
I feel like
people.
I've had to, ever since I moved to like Ireland, like 6-7 साल पहले. अब Ireland is much smaller, right? Ireland is like a big village, especially compared to Berlin, UK, जो भी. And उधर भी so like लोगों के मसले हैं, and I found myself having to like calibrate my own reaction to it because nothing seemed important to me. I was like, yeah, तुम लोग you don't know what masle are. But then
Yeah,
I'm
which is
like, it's not their
like
fault. They were born here.
exactly that's I'm
Um,
like they can't help themselves,
yeah. So,
but this
uh,
is why the world is messed up also because you have this planet which is living a completely different reality. But इनके हर decision से हम भी affect हो रहे होते हैं. But ये हमें ना
yeah.
जानते हैं. और
Huh.
अगर जाएंगे तो it'll be like oh एक resort के तौर पे जाएंगे. Like oh yeah
Yeah.
India they will go to find themselves. So there is this like climate change for example. Like यहाँ इन लोगों ने अपनी ऐश मचाई हुई है. Like हर
Right.
बंदा 10 flights लेता है हफ्ते में
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Like हमें वीजा नहीं मिलता और ये 10 दफा दुनिया घूम के आए होते हैं. Now they're like, oh shit, our carbon footprint. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, my country is underwater because
Yeah.
you have to go to a conference every week.
Yeah.
So you're like weird, like whether you like it or not, we are all connected.
Yeah.
And, like whether it's fast fashion या ये खाना जो खाते हैं, कपड़े कैसे बनते हैं, flights क्या लेते हैं, blah blah blah, वो actually सारा like हमारे मुल्कों पे गिरता है मलबा. So I was like, we never even got to exploit the planet.
Yeah.
We're not. These people have not only exploited it, enjoyed it, generations say like
Yeah.
reap benefits off it, and now have left us in the lurch. So it's a
Yeah.
bit like it does.
My
It's
my privileged sadness is ये कि यार मैंने बचपन से इतनी तस्वीरें देखी हैं of like glaciers and mountains in Europe and EFO, but maybe by the time I get to go through them वो तो चले जाएंगे सारे. Now that I'm like so sad about like shit यार ये क्या बात हुई.
coming from a country with the most glaciers, so you should just go up north.
I've never done
People
that also.
gone, so they will go.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
are
yeah. They're
like
going pretty quick. Um, but yeah, how did you? Let's do a basic, interview dawn question type situation. How do you? Where are you from? Lahore.
um,
Okay. How do you get into art? How does the Shehzil Malik movie start?
um, I mean, I think it's a pretty privileged background in the sense that, you go to school and there are art classes. So I've always been drawing, I think, bachpan se. And I've always been drawing girls. I don't know.
Right,
Like,
right.
we're three sisters and we all draw. We're all illustrators and
Acha.
designers in the family. And my dad's pretty artistic and he is a computer scientist. So we always had computers in the house. So hum chote se, like age mein, like as soon as, like we all had our little computer in the basement. So it was like the Malik family enterprises of these little girls.
Yeah,
So I think that's why I became a digital artist because that
right.
was so much like my childhood was
Yeah,
watching anime and then drawing stuff and then being on and then the internet came,
yeah.
so that was very exciting. So I coded my first websites at 15 and I was talking to people from across the world. So it was very exciting with GeoCities OT. You
GeoCities.
didn't have
Yeah,
to code it. It was pretty easy. Um, so yeah, like I don't know, I've always been a nerd. So I always took everything I did in school very seriously. For beach, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do art. Like, I'm just gonna do something real with my life.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I left it for like 1 year, and I almost had a breakdown. Like I was like, oh, I cannot handle life without this. So I think it's just been nice, something that I love. I can sort of make into a career or make money off it. So then I went to art university, which is BNU, and
Right.
that was pretty newish. Like my sister, I think, was the second batch, and I was the fourth batch. So it was like
What
very new.
what
And
year is this, Andazan?
I think 2006 to 10, मैं वहाँ थी.
Sure.
So, like ancient history. The teachers were
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
It's like so long ago. I was a young woman.
Yeah.
But the teachers were like they were really good. Like they were our actual very nice
Mhm.
artists, so like contemporary artists of Pakistan. So in that sense, that was cool. But वहाँ तब भी nobody really wanted to study, and I was still seen as like इसको क्या मसला है? Like why is
Mm.
she?
Mm.
Um, that's just how I am, I guess. And then I worked for a t-shirt company. I don't know if you know Utoy.
Yeah,
It
yeah. I know
was
what way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's my first job. And uske baad, I applied for the Fulbright scholarship, and then I went to the US for my master's, which was
Masters in
also
what?
visual communication design. Mein tha. I went to RIT, which is this kind of very tech school in Rochester,
Okay.
and I'm not very techy, so that was just like, whoa, like, there are a lot of engineers everywhere, and
Right.
engineers in the world are very similar. Like if
Right.
says hi to them, they'll jump in the bushes, like that dynamic. So that was RIT. And then it was a Fulbright, so you have to come back to Pakistan, okay, like you do that residency. So wo, I think, was my origin story because I think I had 2 years of this happens, I think, to a lot of Pakistani women कि finally अगर उनको ये मौका मिलता है
Yeah.
निकलने का,
Yeah.
so they're like, oh my God, like freedom and like, oh, I can, like mobility is easy
Yeah.
and safe. I don't have to ask for permission. So it's like, we like those 2 years were really like life changing. And much as I don't like Americans in terms of politics, I have to be like, okay, that did change my life. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like giving it to them, but of
Yeah.
course, yeah. Um, and then I came back, and I think that I started drawing very overtly Pakistani things, and that happened during being in America because I think it takes maybe leaving where you're from to look at it with fresh eyes. Because in my Pakistan mein thi, I think I was drawing a lot of like science fiction and
Right. Right.
whatever stuff I had seen, comic book stuff or whatever, like imagination. I think outside, like not looking at all as at like my immediate surroundings, but imagining like a different
Yeah.
world. When I went to the US, like I knew so much about them, and they didn't know anything about me. So I almost deliberately started making very political projects and very like Pakistani projects. So information design class, and for example, I charted how many drone attacks had happened in Pakistan over the Obama administration.
Right.
And I was just so annoyed because inko pata bhi nahi tha.
Yeah.
You know, they don't even like, wait, like you're voting for a government that's bombing my country, but you don't even know about it. So I think, wait, that was also my political awakening in a way. But then coming back to Pakistan, I think was sare restrictions वापस आ गए. Like I think I have a pretty strict family in a lot of ways. So then I started just, yeah, I started drawing about it and putting it online. I had a blog, and yeah, then that just became the thing I did for many years of
Hmm.
whatever would piss me off or something, or somebody would say something particularly stupid. I don't really tell them. I just go home in a corner and draw about it.
Angrily draw about it. Huh? No, that's great. That's a great image. But when you went to the US, you started. Is that would you say the first time you started taking on political themes? I think you said in your regular work, like consciously.
I think I always have done like sort of design on social issues, I guess, like
Hmm.
even in college. And Uthoe ka bhi, at least the thought behind it at first was that it was t-shirts and then you would sell them and fund sustainable projects in Pakistan. So I
Okay.
always wanted to do something which had like a social element built into
Hmm.
the thing because I don't know, even in my family, everybody's very like socially aware, like my aunts sort of run NGOs. My dad came back to Pakistan to serve the country. Like they were
Right.
all like, oh, we have to serve. So
Right.
I was like, draw. So I was trying to make sense of like how do I do something I love and not feel like I'm wasting everybody's time. And like I guess it's just a way of also making myself feel like I'm not a waste of space. Ke
Yeah.
main sirf cartoon, like I just needed some purpose to it, I guess. So
Yeah.
I've like explored different ways of designing. Like design is like very big, like it's a very
Hmm.
amazing field. So this kind of human centered design bhi aa jata hai, where you're working with like communities. So I've yeah, I've done like field work, blah blah blah, but I had to figure out what I'm good at. And like I don't think I'm a field work person. That was actually quite challenging. And I was like, oh, I actually really love drawing. Like that's my happy
What is
place.
field work?
Fieldwork, just say, if you're working in like human-centered design, that's kind of it can be. उसके अंदर जो मेरा focus था was on like poverty alleviation.
Okay.
So वो इतना vast चीज होती है. So you pick up one thing, for example, like women artisans in Gujranwala एम्ब्रॉयडरी कर रही हैं, लेकिन उनको समझ नहीं आ रहा कि वो बेचेंगी कहाँ, उस लाइक मार्केट प्लेस किधर है, मटेरियल कहाँ से ला. So for example, me and my team, like you go in and you talk to them, you conduct interviews, you see वो कैसे उनकी lives कैसे हैं, workflow क्या है. फिर at that point we designed like an SMS based platform for them जिससे वो बेच सकती हैं, like and they could like communicate with दुकानदार जो लाहौर में बैठे हैं, जो उनको बुला सकते हैं. फिर एक वैन अरेंज हो सकती है, उस तरह के 4-5 औरतें इकट्ठी हुई हैं, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. सो उसके अंदर भी बहुत ज्यादा लाइक बातें आ जाती हैं ऑफ लाइक यू आर एन आउटसाइडर कमिंग इन ऑफरिंग सॉल्यूशन. सो नथिंग इज as easy as what it looks on paper, but a lot of people are also working in this field, but it's very like वो research driven and iteration driven, क्योंकि आप एक चीज बनाते हो, फिर उसकी प्रोटोटाइप होती है, गो इनटू द फील्ड, फिर आप उन औरतों को कहते हैं यूज करके दिखाओ, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. सो इट्स लाइक अ
Hmm.
कॉन्स्टेंटली लाइक इट शुड बी अ लिविंग थिंग. एंड उसके अंदर को क्रिएशन की बात आ जाती है कि आप ऊपर से आके ना किसी को दिखाएं, लाइक वो आपके साथ बनाएं जो चीज
Yeah.
है, क्योंकि
Yeah.
उनको बेहतर पता है वो कैसे यूज करेंगे. सो उसके अंदर आई थिंक डिजाइनर्स जनरली हैव अ लॉट ऑफ ईगो. आई थिंक दे आर लाइक नो आई विल टेल यू हाउ टू
या
मेक दैट.
या मैं तो बाहर से इतना सब कुछ पढ़ लिख के आई हूँ, मुझे सब दुनिया का पता है. दैट्स
Yeah.
लाइक अ चांस लाइक दैट यू कैन फॉल इनटू दैट.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like the one I did was also an international summit in this. So one was कि ये सब बाहर से पाकिस्तान आए थे. So वो अलग एक interesting dynamic था कि आप translate कर रहे हो different
या
people from different cultures. Like तब I made a German friend. He just couldn't understand like Pakistani mentality. Like we were interviewing these two women artisans and they're like रो रही थी like बहुत like complain कर रही थी कि 3 साल से हमने काम नहीं किया सब like कुछ नहीं हमने बस अल्लाह पे छोड़ दिया कुछ नहीं and he was horrified he's like what how can they even call themselves artisans they haven't worked in 3 years like how are they paying their bills and what do they mean God will handle it and I'm like will you relax like they're going to be fine like we
Yeah,
all say these things like don't take them ek to that seriously like they're
yeah,
doing stuff on the side they
yeah,
have other hustlers like they can do this and I think all of us are just like Allah desh like and that's actually mean it we're like it'll
yeah,
happen don't like
yeah,
karna hai kar lenge but hopefully something will happen in the meanwhile where we
yeah.
won't have to do it and he and his German mind was like I don't understand like where's activeness why haven't they gone to the market yet? And there was
Yeah,
just like so many layers of
yeah,
explaining to him that they can't just get up and go like this, like permissions only or safety. Like there's just like, there's so many
yeah,
dynamics at play in Pakistan. It's not just, oh, I want to do business as a woman. So of course
yeah.
I'll just do
Do you
so.
think, and then also, I'm also trying to figure out like where the political thing you said you started focusing more in the US when you were faced with like you're outside of Pakistan and people don't really know anything about Pakistan, but Pakistan is being affected by where you are perhaps, and then you come back to Pakistan and there's that बाहर जाके basic freedoms जो मिल जाती हैं सबको, and then you come back and then it's like suffocating again. So is this the sort of period where your work takes like a firmly feminist subject matter kind of turn? Would you say?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I like set off to be like, I'm a feminist and
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
what it's just I think I just grew up maybe in a very non-Pakistani way in a lot of ways. We're three sisters. My
Mhm.
dad's very nice. Like he is like shocked when I meet Pakistani men because I'm like, I didn't grow up like this. Like
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
like gender equal. Like when even I see other people's fathers and they're such pieces of work, and I'm like, oh my God, like, but he's just like, yeah, very like he very strict. Like we weren't allowed to go out much, but never like undermined as like never thought that we were dumb because
yeah,
we're or we can't do something because we're women. It was always like safety related concerns, which I rebelled against. And now as I get older and I read the news, I'm like, oh shit, like maybe
yeah,
if I
yeah,
had kids, I'd also be this
yeah,
neurotic because the world is quite a horrible place. But yeah, I think like the feminist thing, I know the label puts a lot of people off as well. So I don't know. I just feel like, and it's also like it depends on the context because Pakistan mein feminism will mean something different. Germany might mean something different. US might mean something different. And I think online it almost feels like hum a homogenous entity ki baat kar rahe hain, and that's just not true.
right.
काफी talking points, American talking points होते हैं because they're just
Yeah,
always loudest people in the room. But
yeah,
I also listen to younger feminists and I'm like, no, like this is not our problem. Like this is not the context in which we live.
yeah,
So there's always like I don't know. I always think there's a lot of nuance, but we are so like the bar is so low also in Pakistan
yeah,
of the level. Like the discourse is so stupid sometimes. I'm just like I don't even want to contribute because
yeah,
if I listen to two dudes talking, like I feel like I'm losing brain cells like as the
yeah,
seconds go by
yeah,
and like debating something like लड़कियां जीन्स पहनती हैं तो जलजला आता है like इस पे आप क्या बात कर सकते हो
yeah.
like इस पे मैं आपको क्या समझाऊं like
I think
uh,
the a great thing to do here would be to take it like fully seriously. कि हाँ bro, इसके ऊपर ना there should be
yeah,
research,
that place
correlations करनी चाहिए हमें, and this is like great idea.
yeah,
वो खुद ही they'll be like छोड़ो यार, this is too much effort.
like that
But हाँ, पाकिस्तान में I think एक तो I think the internet has also, like everywhere in the world, played a huge part in taking issues and just pushing them to like polar extremes and like making it seem that there is no, you can't even think about a middle ground because that means you're like a traitor to the cause. And I think Pakistan mein, feminism words also become labels. And so feminism, just like liberal, just means हाँ जी आपको तो इस्लाम और मर्दों से नफरत है and आप पाकिस्तान को तबाह करना चाहते हैं. So that's why we don't support you. And Aurat March is like a foreign funded thing. Or सियाचिन पे क्यों नहीं लड़ती औरतें अगर इतना फेमिनिज्म चाहिए. Like, just where are we going with this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a huge thing on my Twitter life, at least historically.
Yeah, I mean, I think online, I personally take the internet as, for me, a publishing platform. Like, I
Yeah,
think of it as a one-way thing because I actually don't think you can really have a meaningful
it's
two-way
very hard
conversation
now. Yeah,
in a
yeah,
comment section. Like, I mean, I'm maximum like, I will put something out there. If you want to read it, you can read it, but I'm not forcing you. Like, I'm not like shoving your face into my Instagram. Like, you can scroll away if it bothers you, but
yeah.
this is what I have to say, and I've thought about it, and that's why I'm putting it out there. I also don't think that we need to talk about everything. Like, I think there's almost too many voices, and
That's great. Yeah,
everyone doesn't need to be heard. Like, some people are just like, they've horrible opinions, and I'm sad that I read them.
yeah,
But I don't know, feminism in Pakistan, it's much needed. Like, boy, even in my research, Abhi, like I really did talk to the Aurat March organizers in depth, like 2 hours of drilling them, because I also have a lot of questions and criticisms and stuff, because I draw for it, but I'm not an organizer. So I also, like, what they decide affects me, affects everybody who supports them. So I mean, and also, like, I don't just want to shove criticisms and just like laugh at people who don't agree with feminists
yeah.
as well.
Huh.
Like, I want to extend the empathy for them as well. Like, I don't know unki zindagi kya thi. Like,
Yeah,
you actually, I have a fair idea, but I just mean like aapki ammi behne, like I can understand like average Pakistani working class family. उन्होंने कैसी जिंदगी देखी होगी with women, and now we are coming these kind of like burger,
yeah,
English medium school educated, like sometimes women on the internet, like they have a PhD in gender studies and they're schooling this poor man who I
yeah,
think like, just got a feature. I'm like, this would not happen in real life. Like, if you
yeah,
met two people met, like they would adjust how they communicate to
yeah,
each other. But the
yeah,
internet doesn't show you exactly who you're talking to. And sometimes it's like a 17-year-old incel boy who has
yeah.
gone on a YouTube rabbit hole of like, I don't know, Jordan Peterson or whatever.
Andrew Tate, shout out. Yeah, great thought leader of recent times.
Or Oria Makbul, or I don't know, Khalil or Rahman. Like,
Yeah,
we all have these terrible men who are online also, like kind of complaining and explaining their points of view. So I'm like, ठीक है, अब what are you gonna do? Like, वो सुन रहे हैं. We have to have a conversation that's not
yeah,
just two people screaming at each other.
yeah.
उससे क्या होगा, I don't know. But it's like, it's much needed, because I think there was a big gap between वो. So yeah, 80s my WAF was founded, which was in
Okay.
reaction to Zika's laws. So you had the Women Action Forum startup, and these are all the OG feminists, like ये जो बाद में इन्होंने schools खोले, lawyers बनी, blah blah blah. But उसके बाद there's a huge gap. Like, me growing up, like I didn't see any feminists in my formative years, or read
Right,
anything feminist, or saw any feminist art.
right.
I think it was just, it definitely was there, but it was behind closed doors. Like, you had to know somebody. Your aunt was an NGO auntie. You knew somebody in the art world कि वो gallery आपको पता थी. But ये, for most of us, was not our lives.
Yeah.
So I think Aurat March is definitely like, it would have happened in some form or the other, because एक frustration build हो रही थी. Because अब you have these women and they are frustrated, and now they have the internet at their disposal. So of course something was going to happen. So I think like they've really flung it open, and the conversations जो अब national level पे औरतों पे होती हैं, ये पहले कब हो रही थी? I mean, people now actually give a shit कि Twitter पे लोग क्यों नाराज हो रहे हैं, और शायद उससे कोई policy भी change होती है.
Do you think they do? Do you think like they do care, or is it like the people who always cared? Like, do you think the needle is being moved
I think
in some
because the
small way even?
has sort of democratized, at least like who gets a platform, for
Huh.
better or for worse. Now it's not just कि TV पे anchor बात करेगा, या
Huh.
journalist who has a column space wo baat karega. Ab it's people like me sitting
Right.
in my bedroom going, by the way, I hate it here because XYZ and this needs to change, la
Yeah.
la la. If enough people read that, people like are forced to contend with it. Like
Like that
a
thought is out there.
that thought is out there and you can't ignore it anymore
Yeah.
because we volume aa gaya. There are people discussing it. So you will be behind the times if you ignore what people are organically talking about. And if you look at it from a capitalist ki lens, it, of course, it's become something trendy. So now the brands will jump on it and
Yeah.
it'll be like, oh, look, women. So
Yeah.
then you'll have that co-opting of that feminist idea as well. But ye cheezein like they will happen. Like you can't
Hmm.
stop this conversation तो अब नहीं रुक सकती.
हाँ, क्योंकि I feel generally पाकिस्तान में and now we are two 30-year-olds talking about Pakistan के हालात, like the uncle and aunties we saw growing up. But I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm abroad, but comparing it to India, for example, like Indian people you meet abroad, बहुत मसले हैं अपने whatever. But Pakistan में at maybe it's the halat, the economic halat, or whatever, but it seems like generally there is like an anti-intellectual vibe in Pakistan where perhaps intellectualism is seen as like a threat to the status quo, and status quo maintain karna bahut zaruri hai because everything mulk ki security, stability वगैरह is linked to it. So like आप पढ़ लिख लें, जॉब कर लें, सब कुछ कर लें, but don't mess about with who's in charge in what way, because उससे सब fuck हो जाएगा. तो
Yeah.
if you think that way, most people just leave. They're like, हाँ bro छोड़ो, because पैसे भी बाहर ही हैं, एक तो वैसे भी that's like a huge motivator, right? Forget ये सारी हवाई बातें. Stability of an economic sort is abroad, and then बाहर जाके people with this sort of like ideas of different perspectives, they're like, हाँ यहाँ सब कुछ सही है तो ठीक है, why do we care about Pakistan? And then because I'm linking this to the 80s thing that you were saying, कि as Nadeem Farooq Raja would tell everyone, 70s में तो nightclubs थे पाकिस्तान में, so height of amazingness. And then Zia came, and that was so उस वक्त I think what I feel is कि 40s 50s, at that time there was perhaps an intellectual segment of society that was also perhaps able to influence society in a real way. There is no research behind this. This is just Ali ki theories. And then huge change comes in with martial law and also with this like Islamist vibe to it. So then these people, People's Party was so huge in the 70s and all of that. So then maybe Women's Action Front is there. Then Zia goes away, and then it's just like chaos. 90s onwards is just like just random stuff is happening, and Musharraf bhi aa gaya aur chale gaye, and then Benazir coming and going, Nawaz Sharif coming and going, and it's just like shit's just like there's no direction. It seems, from a policy perspective, perhaps.
I feel like, but this feels, I don't know, I feel like I'm also a bit cynical now, especially looking at you recently, all the shits that's gone down. I feel like I also want to go back to Pakistan, I don't see
Acha.
myself life out somewhere else. Like, I don't know. I feel like wait, maybe my heart is too connected to Pakistan. But when I see the shit that goes down, then I'm like, no, but it feels very deliberate to keep it in this state of chaos and to keep people disheartened. And it helps the people in charge to
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
have, okay, military pe itni spending honi chahiye. And like, these are not good people and they don't have good intentions. And to keep people poor and illiterate suits the purpose. Like, why would they want an
Like
intelligent?
logically, yeah, it seems like it is intentional. Logically,
Ah,
if
that's the thing.
you
So that's very depressing
yeah,
to think
yeah. Like
this
it's
is
not even, perhaps it's not like the worst, the most cynical thing would be like it's not even intentional. It's just not in the hierarchy of priorities. So like they don't even think about it rather than zabardasti kam rakhon. They're like, no, no, the focus is not to take stuff away from you. The focus is that I want more stuff. तो
yeah.
उसका साइड इफेक्ट है कि अच्छा जी एजुकेशन का कोई बजट नहीं है, दैट्स जस्ट टू सैड. I'm like, is that worse? I don't know if it's like इनको जाहिल रखो is worse or not.
I mean, they're both pretty bleak
Yeah,
aspects. And I think what I see living here, I feel like money is actually what runs the world,
yeah,
really. Like,
100%.
like we social batein, ye sab, if people have money to eat and they have a roof
Yeah.
over their head
Yeah.
and they have like some hope that tomorrow is going to be fine and I'll be able to get some money, a lot of things automatically get solved. You're going to be a kinder, softer, you don't have that anger. Right now, Pakistan is mostly like a population of young people, and
Yeah.
you're making sure that they have no economic prospects.
No
So, of
future.
course, they're angry, like they're angry, like young dudes. औरतों का गुस्सा तो वैसे ही, like you don't accept it. Male anger is still seen as valid, but there's no channeling for it. So, I mean, I don't want this to be an hour of like doom and gloom, but I do think it feels like I think for me also to think about like, oh, should I stay and get the next visa? Part of it is because like I know Pakistan, like I don't know, Abhi, at least it feels everybody's very despondent. Like
Yeah.
I was back really like happy to be home, but
Hmm.
I houngi, like happy to see everybody. Everybody was leaving. Like who hasn't left already was like, I'm packing my bags. And they looked at me like I was really like nuts for like, and
Yeah.
also in Pakistan is not all like sunshine and rainbows. Like leaving your country is very hard, and usme
Yeah.
bhi money plays such a big role in
Hmm.
what your life is. Like I've had a difficult time here, and I have come in the most privileged way possible. And I found this system, like your German bureaucracy, to be like mind numbing. Like I think all the rumors or wo jo Kafkaesque nightmare hota hai, that's Germany, and that was true. And I was just thinking, अगर मैं एक refugee के तौर पे आती, जिसको ये ज़बान ना आती होती, but I look like I don't have money and I don't speak the language, और मैं सबसे एक social strata के lowest rung पे आई हूँ, तो ये system मुझे खा जाता.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this to some German friend of he was like, oh no, no, if you were a refugee, you'd be a lot tougher. Like
That's also,
you
I think, as you were saying this now, I was thinking कि जो हम तो we went to like a nice school and हमने दुनिया भी देखी हुई है, and we've not, compared to like the majority of Pakistan, perhaps we have not had the uppercase as well as struggles कि खाना कैसे आएगा. I feel like there is then that quote unquote the terrible word resilience, that when you're like a refugee, you're like मैं कुछ भी कर लूंगा, I will make it happen. I'm that
know the
desperate, perhaps.
other way of looking at this also is that you weren't born like with a refugee future. This is circumstances that happen to you. Like a
Huh.
lot of people also fleeing war and conflict and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like like it's just like, and to assume that a poor person doesn't have the level of sensitivity or just mental fatigue that we
Yeah.
have. Like humans are humans. So I
Uh,
mean, yes, if you're put in a shitty situation all the time, you'll either die or you will become stronger about it, but you're still a human being. And like I feel like I've gone through mental health problems, friends around me have gone
yeah.
through it, and we had the money to get help, or
Yeah. Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least कि हमें क्या हो रहा है, and oh अच्छा ये हो रहा है. And I was just thinking
Yeah.
अगर ये ना होता, like I would just feel like, oh, I'm going crazy, I don't
Yeah.
even have like the care. So I think ये जो welfare की चीजें होती हैं, I don't know, this is what humanity should be working on. Like these are the basics of जो like Maslow's need hierarchy. I was in Pakistan में वो self actualization हम कर रहे हैं, but वो basic like safety नहीं हो. So what are you gonna do? Like, wait, I'm sitting online, like reading, and my brain is like expanding, but I've never used my legs. Like,
Yeah.
like if you
Yeah.
have that like Mars attack image, like it's like messed up how it is. So I don't know. I feel like this is why my work is always like obsessed with like public spaces and like women and safety.
Mm.
These have been my life's, I
Mm.
guess, crosses to bear, I guess. But
Then the next thing I wanted to ask about is, you have all these feelings, ठीक है, like many of us do, and then because you're an artist, you are able to put all of this into some sort of output, say, which is not like TV tod diya or stuff like that. There's like some actual thing that happens. Um, One thing that I was wondering about when I saw your interviews and some of your work and what the tags associated with Shehzil Malik is ye feminism and issues and all of this stuff, ठीक है, with your work, is there uh, is there other stuff that you feel like you would like to work on, but perhaps you are so connected or affected by all these issues that you feel like this is all your output is? Like, do you feel limited by dunya ke halat? in terms of your art output?
Mm,
Is that even
Honestly,
something you've thought of?
no, I mean, I think it's valid to ask, but I think if you think of like even if you look at feminism, it doesn't just mean women's rights, right? Like feminism is just like a lens to look at the world in which it's a very
Sure.
critical lens.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I gravitate towards it because it's always looking at what exists and being like, but why does it exist like that? So I think there'll never be a point where feminists will be happy, because the nature of it, like they're like that's the nature. It's a very critical it's a framework and that kind of covers everything like climate change ko bhi aap le lo, you will have
Mm-hmm.
perspective on it because हमेशा there'll be things that it's like कभी एक level पे नहीं चीजें चल रही होती हैं. So there's always like there'll be race, there'll be class, there'll be gender, there'll be like like there'll be so many. I mean, these identity markers, but there'll always be like a complexity to an issue. So I think
Mm-hmm.
if I think of myself, I'm like always drawn to these subjects. So I don't think I'm already putting myself in a box. But if I look at like the commissioned work I get, I think abvo because I'm known for like I
Yeah.
make women stories, so मुझे काम भी वो वाला मिलता है,
Yeah.
which is just fine for me because honestly, boy, I really enjoy it and now I'm getting paid for it. So I'm
Sure.
very happy to have found this niche, but I'm not, but I'm happy to also talk about like refugee rights or like race relations or like yeah, Germany में 2 साल से racism has been like the biggest topic of conversation here. People with a यहाँ इनको immigrants नहीं कहते, people with a migrant background कहते हैं. So उनका अलग so I think this is just who I am as a human being. I just
Right.
am drawn to like kind of
Huh.
understand how human beings are. But I think the pandemic was pretty rough because I think I am a sensitive person and I I had imagined like this almost zombie apocalypse in my mind, like sitting in Lahore. So I was really genuinely so freaked out कि we don't have the infrastructure, hospitals ही नहीं. I did like I was sitting doing the math के ventilators कितने, oh my God, ये वो and I think I just burnt myself out in worry. And uske baad I was like, I cannot live like this. This is not a healthy way to even work because I'd step out and everybody would be so chilled out, and I'm like, "Mujhe kya
Yeah.
masla?"
Yeah.
So I think this fellowship was also a way to like remove myself and
Hmm.
like think of another way of doing it. So I was like, I'm just going to draw flowers now. So
That's
if
what
you
I
look
was thinking. Ke,
like मैंने एक्चुअली काफी आई थिंक 2-3 सालों से कोई टॉपिकल चीज पे इलस्ट्रेशन नहीं बनाई.
right.
I
Okay.
haven't done it on like a rape that just happened or a murder that
Yeah.
just happened because I was really doing that like as they were coming. I was so affected that I would sit and the way the art comes is you have to sit with those feelings
Hmm. Hmm.
deeply comfortable, but that's how it's real. Like that's where that kind of real emotion and real
Yeah.
art
Yeah. Yeah.
come from. I couldn't like just skip it and be like, okay, like I'm just gonna draw like a girl crying. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I just never want to draw women crying or in or any violent image because there's also a weird sick thrill people get from seeing women in trouble, and I just
Yeah.
don't want to add to that visual vocabulary. So it is like it would be like, okay, what do I want to say? It is something terrible, but I don't want to we be like, hey, like this victim, blah, blah, blah type of narrative either. But I think I've exhausted my brain now. So I was like, it's okay if I just draw flowers and take commissioned work, which is still fine. And now there's a whole new generation of younger people who are interested in this. So I think I felt like shuru mein I would almost feel like this burden ke I must say something. But now I'm like, no, it's not like this is not just ke main baith ke kuch. I think it was also coming from a naive place. I'm going to change the world, and then you grow up and you're like, oh, uh, but there are plenty of other people to take that on. Like there are other people drawing, there are
Hmm.
other people writing. आपको गुस्सा नहीं आ रहा, किसी और को गुस्सा. इसमें भी there that's that emotional labor to write that stuff down. So there'll always be somebody who will put in that energy. तो कभी कभी मैं उनके I'll just ask them, can I just copy what you said because I don't have the bandwidth right now, and they're usually very nice about it, and they'll be like, huh. But I think I deliberately have taken a step back from it because like it just never ends. Like the
Yeah.
crisis is don't stop. So
हाँ नहीं ये मैं सोच रहा था कि what if like Shehzil wants to make like landscape के बारे में तस्वीर but she's like no issues बहुत ज़्यादा हैं I must stay focused on the issues so it was a bit of that
yeah. I think that will definitely, I will have a nervous breakdown in the coming years, and I will strictly make landscapes.
yeah
But if you focused, एक फूल का एक single tear गिर रहा होगा, but you'll be but yeah.
How, अच्छा, the young people thing is also interesting. Now there are digital artists बहुत ज़्यादा हैं. I suppose again we ज़बरदस्ती link it to social media हर जगह है whatever. How has in your mind, because you've been doing this perhaps a bit longer than the current generation of artist बच्चे, uh, do you feel the perception of art with such visible like issue based, not even just feminism, like issue based art key value or perception in Pakistan, do you feel ek to, what do you feel that perception is, and has it changed in your time frame?
I think the perception of art in general needs to change,
Huh.
because I think I also did a summer camp once in like a public school, or unke pas, they didn't even have art class. So we went in as art teachers, and the kids like picked it up so fast and they were so excited about it. Like pehle they were like, "Ye kya bakwas hai?" But in like a week, they were super excited. So that's I think what really bugs me. Everybody has this like in them. You just need to literally give people like a chance, and everybody has something they want to express. Yeah, art gives you that. I mean, I'm into art, but maybe you're into like sports, or
Yeah.
you like writing, like whatever. Like human beings, even if it doesn't matter if you're good at it. Like it's just a thing to do as a human being. So I think I hope with the internet, people I think don't understand sometimes that digital art is made by a human being. I think उनको लगता है it was
We
computed.
will come to this also थोड़ा आगे
गूगल पे जो तस्वीर लगी हुई है
yeah
वो एक गूगल ने बनाई है. So
yeah
I think so even when I was drawing digitally, like my friends couldn't understand. They're like, क्या मतलब तुमने बनाया? Like crayon किधर है? Like pencil, paper. And I was just like, oh no, this is a new blah
right
blah blah. I think I've even met people in my lifetime when I was making stuff and putting online, they saw it and then they went to art school because they had never seen anything like it. So
right
that's cool for me to hear, oh, acha, like I opened up. And they're actually, I know a couple of them, they're actually really amazing artists. So I was like, oh, they had it in them. They just didn't know that this was called like design or illustration or
yeah
whatever.
yeah yeah
Career. And I think it actually, like graphic design is such a good career to have, because you just need to buy a laptop, for example, और आपके काम दुनिया के कहीं से भी आ सकता है, and you can make like money in dollars. I think for an economy like Pakistan, like I think like you could really like इसमें freelance every company needs a logo. हर
yeah
किसी का Instagram page के वो graphics, Facebook, blah blah blah. So I feel like वो जो हम औरतों को कढ़ाई करना सिखा रहे होते हैं, आई वाज लाइक साथ साथ ग्राफिक डिजाइन भी सिखा दें, बिकॉज वो इतना कम लेबर इंटेंसिव काम है, बट पैसे उससे 3 गुना आ सकते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. सो आई एम वेरी प्रो, एंड इट्स अ वेरी लाइक यू हैव टू सिट at home with a table and do this job. So women could do it. Like this could be a little cottage industry in itself of graphic
Hmm.
design. Um,
Do you think Pakistani society, just एक light सा सवाल मुझे आया, do you think people in Pakistan, general public, cares about art, or do you think we don't have the bandwidth फिलहाल?
so I want to say like the obvious answer is okay, there's not a lot of art appreciation in the sense that we don't have like art galleries and museums ke log har Sunday, for example, family ko leke jaएं. But on the
Mm-hmm.
other hand, I do feel like there's so much art in
Mm.
our lives. Like it
Mm.
depends on what you think art is, right?
Yeah.
So I think like my bed right now is like a rally quilt. I mean, rally is, जो patchwork se औरतें जो बनाती हैं, craft. Like that's like I am in awe of how they do this, because it's so mathematical. जो वो टुकड़ियों से ये pattern बनाती हैं, और they basically do it from scrap material. So
Mm.
even to understand कि colors के कौन सी color combinations अच्छी लगेंगी, और वो एक pattern में कैसे बनेगा, and then they're using their surroundings as inspiration, like वो village के around जो like vegetation या फूल या उस जगह का जो भी उनको symbol पसंद है वो उसको like that's art. This is like we call them artisans basically because उनके पास पैसे नहीं है. I mean यही बंदी एक अमीर औरत
Yeah.
कर रही हो आप उसको आर्टिस्ट कहेंगे.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense whether it's pottery or hamari like whatever indigenous, all the crafts, the quilting, the
Mm.
embroidery, this is art. Like
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
isn't that art? Like the way people make their houses in the desert. Like I was in Cholistan some years ago, or the way they like put the straws together to make those mud houses. That's architecture. It's like surviving, it's sustainable, it's for the elements. I think it really just depends on how you look at things. But I think we are a very decorative society. Like हमारे बर्तन हमेशा फूल बूटे उन पे होते हैं. Like
Yeah.
women
Yeah.
always have like some pattern going on their clothes. Like whether they're making it themselves or jobi. So there is a design sensibility to being Pakistani,
Hmm.
which I think is in us because we are passively absorbing it. And so when I sit and draw, like now that I know okay, this is what it is, I almost take pictures of it as I go along. Okay, oh, I'll add this to my visual vocabulary. It'll come out some other way. But
Hmm.
maybe if you're not looking at things in that way, you aren't noticing it. But it's in us, like it's around us. The
Yeah.
easy example is अगर आप लाहौर में हो तो सारे जो आप historic जगहें जाओ and you see the frescoes and stuff like वही आप मुगल kind of architecture and motifs आप फिर lawn के सूट में देखते हो बहुत दफा. So I think ये like we're making these connections and women are making these choices, men are making these choices without maybe thinking that they're appreciating art. But I
Right.
think that's what they're doing.
Do you think, huh? But then, as you were saying this, I think my question started to become: do you think it is important that people, as a country, society, whatever, we make more of an effort to identify things as being art and therefore worthy of appreciation rather than हाँ ये तो ऐसे ही होता है वो ऐसे ही होता है फिर उसमें शायद उसकी वैल्यू भी शायद कम हो जाती है but rather than
No, absolutely.
pointing a spotlight at it and like calling it out, Hanji, this specific thing is worthy of appreciation. Maybe we don't have, we don't consider that as much of a priority, or maybe we're too busy
I
with
think
stuff.
No, I think we need to because usse it would also liberate a lot of people who are naturally doing it to be like, oh,
Hmm.
ye ek hunar hai, yeah, oh,
Hmm.
I'm gifted, yeah, oh, I can make money from this. Like I think
Yeah.
money also in this would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like for me to realize I can make money with my art is why I can do this and
Hmm.
not have to become an accountant or an engineer or something that would kill my soul.
Yeah.
So I think even in terms of like music, like you follow music so much. So did you see what that Balochi musician Ustad Noor Baksh, who was
Just
kind of
read.
discovered in
Yeah.
Balochistan
Yeah.
by Daniel, and he brought him, and we had like went to both concerts here in Berlin when they came to Berlin, and like the level of like adoration those two guys got here, and just like jo Balochi log the in the audience, wo to like they just leapt up to their feet and like I think उनकी childhood का music था, so they were so moved by it. But generally, that music is infectious, and we all started like dancing, and so it's like all like a Berlin ki environment mein everybody like brown people, white people like dancing to a Balochi folk musician. And this was their first time leaving Pakistan. Unke abhi passports bane hain ye wo. It was so like I felt so like also like proud of them, and they were also so cool about it. Like just say like do this every day type. Like we play all night. Like I saw them after the show also, and they were just like chill, like just the musicians hote hain,
Right.
effortlessly cool about it.
Right.
And it's just like now they're back home, and I'm like, this is so cool because they got so much appreciation and applause here, and I hope that translates to them going home and getting like even more respect and love for their craft so that other people are also okay, oh, this like every craft in Pakistan seems to be a dying one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
आप किसी से भी बात करो म्यूजिक
Always. Huh.
या crafts person या like it's always like oh हम generation है but हमारे बच्चे ये नहीं करना चाह रहे, वो कंप्यूटर में जाना चाह रहे हैं, उनको समझ नहीं आ रही. So it's also linked to like an appreciation, and then it's also linked to economics के you go to Hunza, everything is so beautiful. You're like, oh my God, this is heaven on earth. Everybody there wants to go to Karachi.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, dude, like this, like you're like, you are not missing out, like city
हाँ.
life sucks. And they're like, no, we just want to see traffic. So I feel like if you just made like economic opportunities where people are ke wo, like yeah, people should just like we find the beauty in their lives and appreciate the art that they can produce themselves. And I think India does a really good job of like
Yeah.
marketing their we made in India, and like their craft sector is much bigger. I'm also very into craft, if you've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like it's a Good Earth is a brand. वो सारे उनके like indigenous crafts को लेके they just package it nicely. जैसे हमारा खादी करता है. So I think it always takes somebody kind of with a design background to come and like reinvent what exists and kind of put a brand on it, and suddenly it's worth like 10 times more, which is fine. I've done that also, but it just uske andar it should be that the artisan also is paid fair wages. So uske
Yeah.
andar that's
Yeah.
that's the economy that you imagine. Okay, like the craft doesn't die, people are fairly compensated, and people appreciate. Like when I'm in Pakistan, like I love our clothes. Like mujhe koi masla nahi hai. I think like our fashion sensibility is quite. Like I brought my clothes from Pakistan here. I think we just need to I guess just appreciate what we have. And this is
Hmm.
not coming from a patriotic thing. I feel like it's just if I had come from any part of the world, I would be equally invested because that's coming
Huh.
from that's your home and that's what you grew up with, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I think that we're talking
So,
about it is really not so much from a patriotism, but that it's weird that it is not more appreciated. Like every country, rich, poor, halat, jaise bhi ho, they seem to value their own cultural output perhaps more than we think we value, or maybe people do in Pakistan. Because when we talk about Pakistanis, especially when I talk about, or people I know talk about Pakistanis, we're talking about like a very tiny, tiny percentage of the population जो कि जिनसे हम मिलते हैं या जो हमारे स्कूल गए थे या जो इंटरनेट पे बातें कर रहे होते हैं. तो maybe on a broader scale, Pakistan में people do appreciate. I don't know this, but like my example, my very like niche example is कि much of my family lives in the US and वो डॉक्टर हैं और ये है वो, तो डॉक्टर वहाँ देसी हैं तो इंडियंस भी बहुत सारे डॉक्टर हैं. It feels like Indian families whose dad migrated because वो doctor थे या they went into IT or whatever, and then they have kids there also, and the kids are growing up America में सब कुछ, they're all so, everyone is doing like an Indian art form as well घर पे, या तो वो भरतनाट्यम कर रहे हैं और या they're singing or something is happening. And on the Pakistani side of things, I have no examples कि किसी की बेटी ने सितार बजाना सीख लिया. दिस इज जस्ट अ वेरी लिमिटेड जो मुझे दिखा, जो मुझे मिला. फेयर. बट लाइक इफ इट वाज वाइड स्प्रेड एट द सेम लेवल शायद मुझे भी दिख जाता, बट मुझे तो नहीं दिखा. सो हम क्यों नहीं कर रहे, यू नो.
I think there is a general lack of art appreciation in the country, but I do hope it changes, because don't you see it's also become a bit cool to it's becoming cool to be brown. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
har cheez like this world is a very white supremacist world. So I feel like now that white people are taking an interest in like, oh,
I think,
indigenous cultures, la la la. So now brown people are looking back at themselves with a
huh,
renewed interest as well.
I
So
think it's
I
becoming
think
cool to be, in my cynical counterpoint, it's becoming cool to be Indian. um, Indian people are like so proud to be Indian all the time, like move it. And Pakistani
well, it
people,
depends on
I
the
don't know.
I mean, it depends on the Indian you're speaking to, because India is also going through such
Sure.
like terrible political
Indian
divisive time.
means
Okay, the
North
Indians
Indian.
I meet here,
Yeah.
I feel like if you are politically aware,
Ah,
lefty, progressive Indian, you will criticize India, which is the group I'm in because I'm in
right.
art circles. So
Sure.
they have very like wait Modi
Yeah.
and the Hindu supremacy. They will speak against it, make art about it. But when you meet people in the tech world,
Yeah.
they
Like
often
in my finance
are
life.
Modi supporters
हाँ
because
हाँ. Like Modi ji
that's what I'm
ने
saying. it
मोदी जी
depends
ने
on
क्या
who.
काम किया है मोदी जी ने? Like, all right, man, I'm getting a bit different news,
Yeah,
but चलो ठीक है. I'm very curious
yeah.
now that you've mentioned
It's
Modi, na.
that countries also.
Now you've mentioned
Um,
Modi and I've mentioned
is
Modi. Something
open.
curious happens. In the past, एक दो
Yeah.
episodes I've done Pakistan पे, they're about Pakistan, Pakistan के हालात in like some various subject matter, right? And mostly negative. That seems to be the vibe. बीच में कभी कभार ना जिक्र आता है मोदी का या बीजेपी का या something, right? In like perhaps not a positive context. And it's like in the middle of like घंटे सवा घंटे की episode, like एक जुमला या something. Specific replies आते हैं just on that, like you know जो भक्त boys something. And I'm like, I don't care about what they're saying. I'm like, ये मिला कैसे इनको? They did not listen to the full podcast. इतने सारे लोगों, so I'm very curious if this will happen for this episode now as well. I'm like, are
I
they
mean,
checking
and
the captions? या कैसे हो रहा है ये?
they could.
Yeah,
They could. That they're also on a really scary path. And I think Pakistanis, what I find is we're very self-critical, almost self-loathing
super,
wala
super.
critical.
Yeah,
But when you go around, like every country is fucked up in its very own way. So I
yeah,
think we also need to like chill out a bit. Like I was also hearing a previous episode of yours where you were discussing Turkey. And you know, when you talk to Turkish people, they speak of
yeah,
Turkey जैसे हम पाकिस्तान के बारे
yeah,
में बात करते हैं.
yeah,
Like it's a third world country, itni corruption hai, right wing is taking
yeah,
on like they are also very fucked up. So I'm
yeah,
just saying ke, I'm not doing a whataboutery, but I'm just saying ke every country is especially aajkal like dealing with some really like existential crisis. Like
yeah,
America is now like capitalism का जो end point of complete utter dysfunctionality it's like यहाँ everybody looks down on the US like
yeah, yeah,
why
yeah,
would you ever go to that
yeah,
kind of thing और यहाँ के right wing भी बढ़ रहा है like यहाँ like the racism is its own thing the right
yeah.
these guys aren't accepting कि हम एक multicultural society and they're just like नहीं 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 हम नहीं हैं but
Uh,
आप हैं
Yeah,
whether you like it or not
I remember going to Denmark and Udar they said that like some politician or something who was not considered to be like super right or something, they were very simply saying कि हाँ हाँ हम multiracial society हैं but we will never be multicultural. And I'm like bro I don't know if you understand कि अगले को
were
ये
they
बात कैसे
French
सुनाई दे रही है. No,
is this the
Danish.
French stance on this
Yeah, they were Danish. They're like, हाँ आप यहाँ आ जाए आप रहना आपको Danish बनना पड़ेगा.
assimilation
Yeah,
integration
yeah,
yeah I mean I was in Lahore and I attended I think LLF tha or something and this I don't want to throw him under the bus but let's like it was a French curator who was here and he in a room full of Pakistanis like said something like oh colonialism is just like bad things done by good people but like there wasn't really anything that terrible, right? And I think और लोग तालियां बजा रहे हैं, like,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
turned to my mom and I'm like, are you hearing what this guy is saying? And she was
yeah.
like, yeah, इसका accent इतना thick है, मुझे तो कुछ समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है क्या कह रहा है. So I think with his French accent, he was just going on about like pro-colonization in a country that
Yeah,
has a
yeah,
colonial history, with people just like, yay, white man. So I was really like disturbed because
yeah.
the discourse is very like decolonization, like anti-racism, like ये अलग बात है कि कितना वो deep जाता है. But I think अभी पाकिस्तान में ये conversation तो हम अभी I think नहीं कर रहे of like just decolonize your mind
Yeah,
and like stop trying to be white people we are not and
yeah.
have some self-respect and it's okay to be who you are. And abhi kal person like this diaspora Pakistani friend of mine was making fun of my accent because man, like I have an Urdu twang to my English.
Okay.
And I was just so put off by it because I'm like, this seems like shouldn't we as a society have moved on from making
Yeah,
fun of people with the accent of their own mother tongue? Like,
yeah,
who
yeah.
is my language?
Diaspora,
Why should I?
diaspora
And
Pakistanis
I
are
already.
also a thing. They have a very complex, set of like what is nice, what is not, and where they stand in the world. Like मुझे भी like to be honest, growing up in Dubai, which is where I grew up, accent jokes were a big thing. ठीक है, and हमेशा से ना South Indian accent का हम we just head wobble and all of that, but then हम पाकिस्तान आ गए. Then I lived in Pakistan, and Pakistan maybe sort of there are accent jokes within the thing, and then I came back to Abu Dhabi, and only in the past few years I'm like, but this is not a joke, like
I'm fine with a joke if it's coming from a place of love. Like I can
sure,
make fun of myself, I can make fun of my friend. That's the Pakistani sense of humor also. But
sure,
I think as soon as there's this, oh, I'm cool and you're not,
yeah, yeah,
then I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like ये एक classist बात आ जाती है.
exactly,
I'm like क्यों? Like आपको क्यों पंजाबी पेंडू लगती है या उर्दू में बात करना पसंद है? I know मैं भी बहुत English में बात करती हूँ, but मैं like I've tried to make an effort कि मैं कम, like
yeah,
I'm not this person
yeah.
who is like sticking out like a sore thumb in my own country,
I mean,
but
if you speak in English, adatan, because that's like the school sort of you went to the whatever, ठीक है, that's fine, right? That's also like just you being who has the person who has lived your life. But if you
yeah,
speak in English because Urdu तो जाहिल लोग बोलते हैं जिनको English नहीं
yeah,
आती,
which is
that
a
becomes weird
common sort of idea
and
back home. But
colonialist in its roots as well.
yeah.
कि
So
तुम
you
जाहिल,
come to Germany and everybody speaks German. Like for
yeah.
them, English is a foreign language, and they're quite confused why my English is so good. Like they're
Oh,
like,
did you get
"आप
it? Did you
उर्दू."
get the you speak very good English? I'm sure you must have.
I mean, you get that in the US a lot.
Ah.
These guys are more concerned कि why aren't you speaking your own language
Yeah,
better? Which I
yeah,
think is fair. Like मुझे ये शर्मिंदगी होती है कि हाँ आप सही कह रहे हैं. Like मेरी अंग्रेजी क्यों? Like I think in English and then I translate into Urdu when I have to speak it.
yeah,
It's like the
yeah,
English is the default. But
yeah.
I think this is a missed opportunity for me to not know Punjabi, to not like
Sure.
have such a good grasp on Urdu. जब मैंने design भी करना होता है, I have like people I'll send it to, okay, please check my grammar, check my
Yeah,
spelling. So
yeah.
that's like, hey, these are flaws in like in our education or the way we
Exactly.
look at the
Like
world.
उर्दू मीडियम स्कूल जो है वो गरीबों का स्कूल समझा जाता है ना कि वो बेचारे उर्दू मीडियम जा रहे हैं. And like Europe, everyone studies every subject in their language. Like they
Yeah,
changed the way you write Chinese because वो vertical उसमें equation
yeah,
सही नहीं बैठती थी. तो उन्होंने कहा चलो ठीक है हम horizontal कर लेते हैं, पढ़ना तो इसी में है हमने. And I'm
yeah.
like हमारे यहाँ तो is like उर्दू एक
Yeah, in
A-level
this
में subject.
world, like now you have to know English just to survive in
Fair.
this world, like, the internet and
Yeah.
getting a job and mobility and blah, blah, blah. But I think there's no need. And also, it's interesting when I speak to my Indian, I have an activist Indian artist friend as well. So I was asking her, "Okay, why don't you make your comics in Hindi, for example? Why don't you do it? Why do you do it in English?" And she was like, "Oh, India may like to do it just in Hindi would
Yeah,
link it
that's
to
also a
Hindu
statement.
supremacy." हाँ, so then she's like, फिर मुझे 7-8 languages में करना पड़ेगा. So English is the easiest. So वही, every context sort of changes the politics of
Yeah.
what you're speaking about. But
Uh,
I don't know where we even started from and why we have gone down this
but it's great.
tangent.
I think all of this is relevant, and podcast आपको पता है they key part in improving the world.
Of course.
पिछले कुछ सालों में हमने ये establish किया है. So here we are. Um, Miss Marvel, you were cast as the lead. Your art was
Yes,
used.
I am Miss Marvel. The suit is in my closet here. Get out on Halloween.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Was that surprising how that worked out?
Yeah, it was, yes, surprising how it worked out. So are you asking me how it happened?
That too, sure.
Okay.
Uh,
So one of the directors is Sharmeen Obed Janoy. So I think she was familiar with my work. So
yeah,
she kind of forwarded my name to the creator of Miss Marvel is a Pakistani American woman. So I think she forwarded to her. And then, yeah, they were just like, yes, let's include Pakistani artists
yeah.
as well, which I appreciate. But do you want to hear
Uh-huh.
the bads?
Sure, sure. As long
I
as
think
it's not a problem for you, कि आगे जाके Kevin Feige का phone आ जाए तुम्हें कि मैडम ये आपने क्या कहा? Because he watches this podcast.
Oh, of course. It goes to a direct link
हाँ, हाँ.
to him. Actually, this is made just for him. This is like a launching pad for your
Yeah,
Marvel
yeah,
career.
yeah,
Like Iron Man, if he had been born in the subcontinent.
yeah. And was an accountant.
Oh shit, are you an accountant? I've dissed
Well,
on accountants.
reluctantly, but
Um, well, I mean, you're making money, so
I'm making some money.
props,
Yes.
props to
जिंदगी चल रही है. As good as
I
it gets is गुजारा हो रहा है.
mean, you have a golden gilded frame behind you, so
This is
clearly.
I'm in a hotel. I thought about this and I said I need to have an explanation because what if she sees the background? I'm in
No,
Jeddah for work and I was looking around and this whole room because आपको पता है this whole room is like cream diwar, golden frame, brown sofa,
I
and
think it definitely has a vibe, like golden frame, नीचे cricket चल रहा है, पीछे blackout curtains लगे हुए हैं.
yeah.
It's a
That's
lot
not.
happening.
Oh no, my camera is really shit. That's the hallway. That's not a blackout.
हाँ,
Curtain
अच्छा
nahi
था
hai. It's
पर this
when
is
you
the
see
strangest.
when you see the video that I've recorded on my phone, it'll seem like a different place.
Oh
Okay.
wow,
Yeah.
you will be on a beach.
Huh. One of those backgrounds. But yeah, no, I thought about this in advance of this episode. So I need to have an explanation for Shehzil कि मैं कहाँ बैठा हूँ.
No, no,
Yeah.
we don't judge, not
Please,
judgmental.
you should judge a bit. थोड़ा सा तो करना चाहिए. But हाँ, Miss Marvel.
But
Yeah.
I don't have to say the inner detail, blah blah blah. It was very nice, loved it, amazing,
Okay.
good.
Great. And when we stop recording, we're not going to talk about it at all. Don't worry, guys. It's fine. Um,
No,
huh.
honestly, it was nothing. It's just I feel like they could have. I don't know if I think they reached out to a few more illustrators as well, but they almost wanted them to do it for free. So
Sure.
that I
Sure.
think was a strange thing because I mean, you are Disney and
Yeah.
Marvel,
But
so
लेकिन
this should not be.
आजकल क्या हो रहा है उधर with the strikes and stuff.
Well,
Clearly,
literally, abhi ho raha hai, but हाँ, they're not good with money.
this is like
They
a
don't.
pervasive issue. With like unless you're like a star, everyone will try and make like massive savings जिधर भी हो सके.
Yeah.
But the thing that I was wondering was when you get in touch, when Shamina बेचना you see अच्छा refer कर दिया Marvel का चलो ठीक है ये तो हो गया. Do you feel like you're an established artist name whatever in Pakistan? I feel like I'm really curious about how the people I talk to respond to this. But
Do I think if I'm an established artist in Pakistan? I would like to say yes. I think
sure.
it's been a while. I don't know what that means to you, but I think
I mean, obviously, I feel you should be feeling this, but people who I've spoken to they haven't. It doesn't seem real to them because in their mind they're like, "हाँ अच्छी चीजें कर रहे हैं," and तरक्की भी हो रही है, and things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But then someone's like, "हाँ, because of again Shehzil Malik, I became an artist." And Shamina Veg, I guess like this huge opportunity is like, yeah, I know someone. How does Shehzil feel when she hears? Am I saying your name right? How does she feel like when she gets to know about this? Like, is it like what I was just doing something that I was interested in?
I feel like I had that moment a few years ago. I feel like honestly, it's not like I'm so cool and this has happened. I feel like my career has been very much like Allah Mia doing his thing, luck, and just being at the right place at the right time. Because when I started drawing and putting things online, I think for social media, bhi tabhi, it was very
Sure.
new. Or
Sure.
हमें नहीं पता था कि ऐसे it was like a very like new space. So I think I might have been the first people to kind of
Okay.
use it in that way.
But see, again, you're doing that thing where like the three things you mentioned don't include you working really hard and being good at the thing, which is the thing that people do.
No, but I feel like, but it's not like I'm underplaying it. It's just I almost look at the career part of me as like a separate thing. Like I'm like, oh, she's doing well. Good for her. And I think at this point, like, boy, so many cool things have, mashallah, happened for me to not be so like that about it. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, honestly, like the randomest things happen to me. And like professionally, I've just been so lucky. I don't know what it is, but I'll put something in the universe and somehow it will come back to
Hmm.
me. So
Hmm.
I feel like I haven't planned it. I didn't use any strategy. And in fact, as I get older, I become more existential and more like, who are we? We are nothing. We are but dust in the wind. So I don't really like, I don't know. I'm just like so grateful for these
Hmm.
opportunities. Agar Marvel na aata, like it's not like I'm like that wasn't my goal, you know? It's
Yeah.
just it was very cool to happen. I grew up with those characters. So it was really like, boy, kind of surreal to be in LA and see my art plastered on Hollywood Boulevard. And I took my best friend with me. So I think that meant so much to me. Ke, oh, me and her could share this moment because, you know, she's like a sister. So I think that, like, wo hum raat ko apne hotel mein LA mein baith ke, we were like, can you believe this? Like, oh my God. So that was like really like I will remember that. Okay,
Yeah.
we were so giddy and excited about it. Not so much ke, oh, like Marvel check, like
Yeah.
what, you know, that kind of thing. And honestly, with being a freelancer, like I just feel like every month is its own month. So one month it could be like, oh, got this gig. Next month, oh, I have nothing. So that's just the nature of it. So you hope that these gigs, like if they have some decent money, then you can also not work the next month and not freak out. And if the money isn't good, then hopefully the work is that cool or the company is that good that even if the money is low, you're like, oh, I'm so excited about working with these people. So हमेशा कोई तो हो रहा होता है, like एक opportunity cost भी होती है, blah
Right.
blah
Right.
blah. So and we have been in a very like privileged position in Pakistan because I was living in my parents' house. So it's
Hmm.
not like I have bills to pay or rent to pay, you know. So वो बहुत एक cushy existence रही है. अब finally, I think if I stay on here, I will have to be that adult who pays the bills and stuff. So, Boab, let's see if I even like if I survive or not. Like,
Yeah.
because I hate doing a job. Like somebody was like, get a job. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I opened LinkedIn and I was like, what are these people on?
Yeah.
What is
LinkedIn
this
बहुत बुरा हो
life?
गया है. Yeah. In the past
I'm
couple years,
no, I'm
was-
just jobs, you know, like
yeah.
some
Yeah.
people are meant for them and some people just can't do this shit. So I really hope it doesn't come to
Huh, but what do you career wise? I don't know if you think in those terms, uh, but what do you think like the next few years are in terms of work?
so boy, I think I'll just have to be more pragmatic now because of the bills. So I do need
Sure.
more paid work. Otherwise, I would really like just do stuff. I think the goal should be that you have enough money, that you don't have to worry about money, and you
Hmm.
have the freedom to work with people that you like. And
Right.
I have a lot of like artist, designer friends. And I think when I work with them, it's the best because you trust them. They have similar values to you. We all like kind of way, especially if it's like a political kind of helping people dynamic. I really appreciate that. So I would hope that I can also make projects where I can pay people and they work with me. That would be pretty awesome. But otherwise, I think it's going to be a mix of, yeah, paid assignments and working on my own research. Like if I get a
Right.
grant, or I'm
Right.
just going to, yeah, like I feel like that's the passion stuff, the women and like the political stuff. And then उसके साथ साथ like there has to be enough paid things to
Keep things
pay for
going.
that.
Keep the lights
Yes.
on. Do you have any
Yes.
gin stories?
I think so. I think like in my family it's कि oh जो बहुत नेक नहीं लोग होते and they have gin
Yes.
buddies.
Yes.
It's like all very nice. Like the
Yeah.
gin, like yeah, was my great grandfather's friend.
Right.
You'd find like the smell of roses in
Yes.
room. नमाज पढ़ते थे वहां तो फूलों की पत्तियां होती थी. It's all very sweet. Like not like no, not like scary gin
Not
stories.
scary gin stories. Do you have anything in particular? Yeah, it's just ये general जिक्र ऐसे होता था.
Well, I have one aunt. I don't know if she has a direct link to your podcast. That would get very awkward if she
Yeah.
hears this. She's very into
We're
the
big
supernatural.
in the auntie community anyway, but yeah.
I think she might hear this and not appreciate it. But she has like a whole roster of like yeah, holy men and peers who come to like read stuff. And I think she got an exorcism. I don't know.
Oh,
It's like
herself?
I thought her house was haunted.
Oh, on the
She's
house.
like Like yeah, exercising the house with these like lambe keel. I don't know if you know this. You put it
No,
in the foundations of the house and like four corners of the house. और फिर आप उसको
right,
ठोकते हैं और फिर अल्लाह के नाम लगे होते हैं, and then that becomes like a force field. The
right,
evil things can't enter.
yeah.
And we all know black magic is real. So everybody has somebody who's done black magic.
Done. I thought I thought we would have more victims that we know हाँ कि उसके ऊपर
I
जादू.
mean, if there's a victim, obviously there's a person doing it.
You would hope that there's more perhaps victims and fewer people doing it. वरना तो why don't we monetize black magic? Fiverr पे लगा देते हैं हाँ भाई.
I mean that it is a paid gig. It's the gig
It is also,
economy of
yes,
black
yes.
magic also.
It is.
So when I was a teenager, one friend of mine fell in love with this boy, and his family were not happy with this. So they were adamant that she leave him. So we went to this, I don't know what the hell that guy was, but he kind of looked at us and was like, so I don't know, there's a theory that we all have our corresponding jinn
Okay.
with us. And they're like
at all times.
like kind of they're our version, our jinn
Right.
buddy, kind
Right.
of. And that guy told her, "Oh, I can see your jinn and his jinn are also together. So you're gonna get married to this dude. So it's happening."
Right.
And then later, her boyfriend was a terrible person, and they broke up, and she's happily married to somebody else. But I was like, that guy just sold us a crock of shit about this supernatural love story that he could see, because he'd be like, "Oh, they're sitting holding hands with us right now," and we're like, "Really?" Like, all this so stupid. And I don't know how much money he paid him to tell us this shit. So
Amazing.
it's definitely part of the gig economy.
Yeah.
And undocumented.
No, that's great. Jinn Buddies, I think, is a good addition to my roster of stories, where we have obviously the scary stories तो होती हैं, and then भेड़िए की शक्ल में आ गए ये वो, and like पाकिस्तान में होते भी थे भेड़िए. I don't know how does the jinn know, but obviously they're all lambe and kale, so I'm like there's like a hint of racism in all of this everywhere. And हमारे in my mom's house in Karachi, there were apparently jinns who were mischievous. तो वो to the sort कि नानी बताती थी कि हाँ जी एक हमारे जानने वाले थे वो गंजे थे, तो when he would be walking up the stairs they'd hit him on the head, and I was like okay Karachi वाले उनको
not
थप्पड़े
only
पड़ रहे थे.
suffering baldness, but also
Yeah,
being beaten up over it.
it's not just humans who ridicule me, even ye supernatural bastards ye bhi lage हुए हैं. So yeah, Jinn Buddies I think is a good term. But this is so, I wonder about how these tales travel, because ye lambi keele hain historically, and like if you read like supernatural stories, it's like pure iron का जो कोई होता है ना material, that is a great ward against all of this. But वो तो वहाँ था, and I'm like, do these stories travel or is it all real? कि असल में होता तो ऐसे ही, bro, science तो यही है.
I mean, they definitely travel because jinns are like part of like Islamic mythology. So wherever it went, it kind of took like Persian manuscripts में इतने ज़्यादा jinns की depictions and stuff. My sister is quite a nerd about jinns.
Really?
So she's very into your manuscripts and finding out jinn की कहानियाँ and
Really?
stuff.
अच्छा, so we have a whole
यार और ये सब. Did you grow up with these stories?
Not really. I think this whole podcast is like a series of jokes. तो उसमें हुआ ये कि when we started, we were Twitter पे काफी active back in like 2017, I don't know. And then some guy posted like a Jinn story thread, and it was great and very gripping and सब कुछ.
Oh, that might have been my friend Kehan.
Kehan has been on the show.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I think Kehan did this viral thread about jinns.
But Kehan's was recent, I think a couple years ago. But these keep happening, na? तो हमने कर दिया, हम like episode 2 or something of the podcast, or like हमने बस stories ले आए, like actually great stories, and then we did a few, and very quickly it became people sent us stories and हम उनका मजाक उड़ाते थे कि यार ये क्या.
I love them though. I mean, I love all sorts of supernatural
Yeah,
stories and
yeah. So tell your
yeah.
sister that formally I'm petitioning if she has any. We have a whole series of Jinn stories. They are not serious, those episodes, but I'm
Yeah.
interested बहुत हैं. So if she has time, maybe we can do something at some
I will
point.
ask her.
हाँ.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? कौम को खिताब, बच्चों के लिए message. Something?
I mean, I did have like a sort of serious thing, but it never like came like I didn't
Oh,
address it. But it is something I think about when I'm here in like outside of Pakistan, for example. I mean, I talk to girls, yeah, like sometimes I come across Pakistani women. So I ask them, yeah, okay, like what brought you here and how do you like it? What do you like here? Usually the answer is that they love it here. That's like how it goes. And then I ask them, okay, like, what is it about it that you love so much? And I think invariably the answer I get is कि मैं यहाँ चल सकती हूँ.
mm,
Um, I can take a walk here. I can go around. I can travel. I can take the train. I can take the bus and yevo. And I just like it makes me like it's very relatable. I agree with that, but also it makes me very sad
yeah,
because it's almost like a kitni choti baat hai, you
yeah,
know, to kind of want to leave your country so you can take a walk seems almost comically like crazy.
yeah,
Um, and I don't know if we give this enough importance
mm.
as like you as a man. I don't think you understand what this can
No,
mean.
yeah,
Live your life inside a box. Like I
yeah,
think I've also, even though I've traveled a bunch, I think I've spent majority of my life in a room. And I was just going through, I was just cleaning up my interviews. We did like a focus group with working class women. But mostly like khush hain, like at least like they're not telling the interviewer, like she's trying to poke them into like asking them about their problems, but they're saying, nahi, theek hai, theek hai, theek hai. But if you read between the lines about like उनसे पूछ रहे हैं कि आप मोबाइल फोन कैसे इस्तेमाल करती हैं या है भी या नहीं या कहाँ जाती हैं, like the lives are so small
yeah,
and they're saying stuff like and it's not like they're not even dissing their husbands, it's just a matter of fact statement कि मेरे मियाँ के पास फोन होता है, वो मुझे कभी कभी देता है, या मियाँ की इजाजत नहीं मिलती तो ये तो हम I wanted to know कि वो लाहौर में कितना बाहर जाती हैं, तो they were like हाँ काम के लिए जाते हैं लेकिन महीने में एक दफा हम पैसे रखते हैं कि बच्चों को आइसक्रीम के लिए ले जाएं, that's like a 1 month they will make that effort, या
yeah,
हम like it really it like also breaks my heart. A part of me feels like who am I to tell them to
yeah,
change, they
yeah,
seem okay, but also I feel like this is why we do need feminism or whatever interventions ke there are millions of people living like such confined lives, like inside a box, not even knowing what it feels like to कि इजाजत के बगैर आप like my research partner is trying to tell her कि नहीं but आपको क्या लगता है आप खुद कर सकती हैं, like आप क्यों इजाजत, like she's just trying to ask them but it's so inconceivable कि मैं
yeah,
अपने मियाँ से कैसे like वो तो ऐसे तो नहीं होता, मैंने उनको
yeah,
कहा था नहीं, मैंने स्कूटी का कहा था बट उन्होंने कहा लोग क्या कहेंगे, मैंने कहा था मुझे सिखा दे, उन्होंने कहा so I just, and this is like across classes also, it's not a like a working class problem, this is just across class. So I think this is really like, for me, if anything changes in Pakistan, if you ask me, I feel like if it's safety and the mobility of women, like if we can crack this, like if we can crack public transport, if we can
yeah.
crack women and children can be outside of their houses without it being
Huh.
at all a thing to even think twice about. Like I've had such a tough time here, but the fact that I can just leave my apartment and walk down the street and like buy myself groceries and walk back at like wait any time of night and not worry about this is like life changing.
Yeah.
Like this is the only reason honestly that I would stay, like apart from oh it's Europe and oh my god everything, literally it's I feel I can walk here,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I
This
don't
is
know.
this is a thing that we felt as people. I mean, obviously, हम तो फिर भी मर्द हैं. Obviously, when you walk around, I've noticed this a lot. कि I'm going to like a store with my mom अपने घर के नीचे मॉल and people are just like staring, full on staring, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm not rationalize it. ना कि ये क्यों कर रहे हैं? Like मेरी तो she's like older. It's not even कि like कोई बहुत ही कोई haughty type scene है and हम ताड़ रहे हैं like I'm like bro मतलब कोई भी and
Yeah.
I'm looking at all of them, right? I
Yeah.
can't not look at them, and she's just doing
Yeah.
what she has to do. And the
Yeah.
safety thing, like being from Karachi, I remember हम Lums गए थे for Lumen and रात के 1 बजे या 2 बजे we were staying in Lums and then they had to walk to like there's some bazaar close to it, I forget. तो सड़क खाली थी, it was like fully खाली. All the Karachi people were at the side of the road, बिल्कुल किनारे पे ना, and जो लाहौर के या इधर उधर के बच्चे थे वो बीच में चल रहे थे and मजाल है जो को मोटरसाइकिल गुजर जाए and we wouldn't like shit our pants. We're like bro ये तो बहुत bad scene. um,
Yeah.
so and this is like that one time I went to Lahore, I felt like this. And but generally the vibe is there. So then, your choices just become smaller. And like you feel like that thing that you said, na, ki they don't say that they're being oppressed or confined or something. But when you talk about the situation, it's like you've just accepted these walls around you because perhaps you can't break out of them. But there are walls, right?
Yeah.
They do exist.
Yeah. For sure.
So,
I think वो जो Plato's cave वाली कहानी नहीं है with the people who've just lived their lives
yeah.
watching the shadows and then one guy goes out and comes back. I sort of had that feeling when I first left Pakistan and came back because I was just like, guys, there's so much stuff happening.
Yeah.
People go camping. Like it was just a very sheltered life I'd led. And
So many
yeah,
people in Pakistan believe that Pakistan is the best country in the world, and they've never
which is
left.
fine, that's
But no, I'm
like
like, they've never left. I'm like, bro, तुम्हें लेकिन कैसे पता?
no, I'm like I'm so happy for people who are happy because as a human being to
Yeah,
be happy
sure.
is like good for you,
हाँ,
you living your best life. So I don't want to make anybody miserable, but
yeah,
I definitely know that there are enough people who do feel that and maybe
yeah,
can't articulate it, or there are enough women who I can see it in their eyes,
yeah,
but maybe they don't get that space to say it. So I think like even uh, to circle back to the internet, I think I also put it online because I didn't have anybody in my life to say it to. Like people were very dismissive, like especially as if you're young in Pakistan, people are very dismissive of you.
हाँ,
Like so many people will be like, क्या बातें अभी भी they're like ये क्या किताबें किताबी बातें हैं कौन ऐसे कौन होता है, or like older people would be like ये पाकिस्तान है यहाँ ऐसे नहीं होता. Like I've always been very idealistic and I don't appreciate this because I'm like इससे किसका फायदा हो रहा है? You
yeah,
have lived your life in your world, and
yeah,
now honestly every generation is confronted with a new world, and let me do my thing. So I actually this was a very rebellious, like I was always very rebellious. I'm like okay bata diya, okay fuck you, I'm going to do my thing. So I
right.
think the early years were very much fueled by that kind of like people undermining me either at work or men or just people around me. I would just be like, yeah, you don't I mean I know what I know. So
Mm.
we'll see. And
Yeah,
now I think I feel like I'm at a point where people don't do that to me. So I feel like maybe that's why I don't also post my feelings so much on the internet, because now everybody in my life knows that this is what she does. So I actually have those conversations in real life. So my outlet for like, oh, मैंने भड़ास निकालनी है, now I can call up my friend and she knows कि, oh, Shehzil like feels this way and they will give me that space. But I think like I fought for that space. I fought to be taken seriously because I think people very often don't want to take any young person seriously. Uske upar young woman, like,
yeah, yeah.
this is also why I don't like putting my face online. I feel like I'm squeaky. It'll undermine my politics, like my high pitch.
अच्छा,
People will be like,
I'll
ये
adjust
कौन आ
your audio ना, तो it'll sound like one of those,
Yeah, please make it a
हाँ, वो जो suspect videos होती है ना,
respectful.
इनकी identity hidden होती है. We'll keep your face, but the voice is going to be like
Okay.
insanely deep, like Darth Vader की बहन.
I think people will take me seriously. They'll be like, oh, no wonder.
This is
You'd be
why the
like,
art
oh, yeah, I don't know.
has their own drama.
Yeah. Hey,
um.
um,
Anyway,
I think this was great. I hope this
yes,
was not as painful as you were worried it might be.
it was good.
Sad that the cat did not make an appearance as was promised. Uh, I was
She's asleep.
hoping. Oh, chalo. ठीक है. laundry bhi
Do you
ho
want
gayi.
a shot of her sleeping?
I believe you.
Okay.
Anywhere people should go to find your work, your thoughts, ideas?
I mean, they can go to Instagram, I guess. Like that's
Okay,
the
that's your preferred location.
yeah,
ठीक है.
yeah.
There's
I
also a
mean,
website.
yeah, but website is more if like that's a design portfolio which I rarely update. I need to do that whole thing again. Honestly, I need to check it and start over. But
Okay.
if people want to write to me about any work thing, I don't check Instagram or DM. I don't check any DMs. So that would have to be an email.
Right.
But otherwise, if they just wanna shoot the shit, like the Instagram thing is there.
Or do you talk to people on Instagram like just casually?
Actually, I said that, but as I was saying it, I was like, no, I don't actually.
So if you want to get in touch,
But I didn't want
don't.
to.
Just
As in, if
answer.
you just want to see any art which not
Yeah.
writing anything emotional or horrible, so you can like. I would also feel like, oh my god, I'm like throwing so much stuff on people, but I'm not these days because I am burnt out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Pictures of cats, pictures of
I mean,
flowers
yeah,
with a single
the
tear.
story has the cat on it.
Ah.
Maybe like a Berlin sky. Actually, I don't even do that. I'm just like cat. That's the extent of my Berlin stories. Is the cat is here.
Chale.
Yeah.
ठीक है. This was great. I'm really glad we could make this happen.
Thank you
And
for speaking with me.
yeah, unfortunately, now that you've done it once, अब कभी भी हो सकता है. So now,
What do you mean?
like you
What
can
is
be.
You'll show up? Like, are
You're
you
the
standing outside?
first person who has asked me, what does that mean? I'm like, it's a very अजीब सी बात है. Like, we can ask you back on again because now you know okay, this is normal, and it won't be like, we can talk about normal anything else. No, I feel like you're taking on pressure already.
Right? Like, oh my god. No, it's fine. And who is we?
That's just me. That's
That's like,
nicer way of saying we, the podcast.
I'm also a design studio, but it's actually me
Yeah. तो बस ठीक है.
posing as the accountant and my agent and
Okay.
the
Thank you for
electrician.
watching, everyone. Bye. We're gonna stop
Yeah,
recording.
thanks.